Hi friends! Now over the years of being an art YouTuber, I have gotten countless DMs, tweets, private messages, comments, I mean you name it, of people saying,
Ray, I really want to get into art, but I can't afford any good supplies and it's very discouraging.
And trust me, I completely understand that. Before I became an art YouTuber, a mass majority of all of my art supplies were stuff from Walmart, stuff that I could find at the dollar store, stuff that my teachers gave me. In fact, some of my very first YouTube videos were just like random dollar store challenges because I couldn't afford anything else, you know? And so today, I thought it'd be cool to get back in touch with my roots, and more importantly, hopefully I inspire some artists out there who are in that current position. This video goes out to you because today, I'm going to challenge myself to recreate one of the best and most famous pieces of artwork ever to be created. Jan Vermeer's masterpiece, The Girl with the Pearl Earring, and recreate it using only supplies from the dollar store. I have no chill. If you like cheap art videos like this, be sure to subscribe with notifications. That way you can get notified of every single video that I do in real time. Yeah, I feel like today's video is pretty straightforward. So yeah, with that being said, let's roll out Autobots. So the first thing I'm gonna obviously need is art supplies. And our first stop is the one, the only, the legendary Dollar Tree. Every time I go to a Dollar Tree, they're a little sketch. You hear like a crying baby in the background. And a lot of the time, my Dollar Tree doesn't have like any of the good stuff. They're usually out of everything. So I'm hoping we'll be able to find mostly, if not everything that we need. So let's go see what they have. Anyway, there's a guy staring at me. Oh, this is so awkward. I'm just gonna pretend I'm looking at something else. This is so awkward. As much as Dollar Tree is my bestie, it seems like every single time I go to Dollar Tree to get something specific, they're always out of it. And sadly, the one thing that I needed the absolute most, they were running super low on, and that was paint. So I'm gonna go to the next best place, Dollar General. Now, even though I did a video on Dollar General in the past, I am absolutely terrified of Dollar General. Every time I go, it's completely empty. The cashiers always look like they want to fight me, and all you hear is like that fluorescent buzz with like the empty aisles. It is such a creepy experience. But anyway, let's go see what Dollar General has to offer. Okay, so it is currently the next day, and surprisingly, I was able to find almost,
Keyword, almost,
everything that I need at Dollar Tree. Now, the first thing that I'm obviously gonna need for this project is, I forgot the word. Canvas. I'm gonna need canvas. And Dollar Tree does technically sell canvas, but the problem is that their canvas quality isn't necessarily the best. And I say that with peace and love. I don't know why, but all the canvases there were like bent at a weird angle. All the canvas sizes were 8 by 10 or smaller, which the original painting is actually 17 by 15.5 inches, I believe. So yeah, trying to compress like an image like that into an 8 by 10 would just make my job a little bit harder. And Dollar Tree does offer things like sketchbooks and paper and scratchboard and things like that. But since I'm going to be painting it, it would pretty much bleed through all of those things instantly. But unbelievably, I was able to find this dry erase board. It's 11 inches by 10 inches, which isn't too bad. It's a little bit smaller than I would prefer, but not bad. And I know a dry erase board seems silly, but the real reason I bought it is because when you turn it around, it's actually masonite on the back. Like, you hear that? Which, if you don't know, masonite has pretty much been like my #1 thing to paint on forever. I love the way it's non-porous. This thing will take a beating. I can layer as much or as little paint as I want to. It's completely flat. And yeah, basically this is going to be the perfect canvas. So with some poster paint, I'm just gonna tone that canvas completely gray and try to get it as completely smooth as possible. That way I'll have a nice base to begin with. I'm so itchy. Why am I itchy? It's like I'm never itchy, but then when I start filming, I'm like, ah, it feels so good to scratch. Oh my God. So the next thing that I'm gonna need for this project is obviously to sketch out the girl. So this next art supply might seem very obvious, but I got some basic #2 mechanical pencils by Crayola. I've used these pencils in the past. Surprisingly, I actually really like them, even though I think they're made for kids. They remind me a lot of Tricon Genera. I can't even pronounce the name. So yeah, these are gonna be used for sketching. Now, if you guys know, I am not really the biggest fan of acrylic. I'm not very good at it. I personally find oil painting much more easier, which is really weird because I know so many artists who hate oil painting, but they love doing acrylic paint.
Hello there, how are you all doing?
It's very strange how like everybody has their own preferences and how everybody's brain is different. But anyway, the reason I'm bringing this up is because when it comes to an oil palette, usually you'll want to use a pure glass. But glass palettes, they are not cheap. So when it comes to palettes, of course Dollar Tree has like their regular palettes that you see pretty much everywhere. But if you want a little bit more of like an advanced palette, something very sneaky that I've been doing. I don't even know if you can tell what this is. So yeah, basically for $1, I unwrap this, flip the photo around, and basically for $1, create my own glass palette. But yeah, very, very sneaky. I wish I knew this technique back in college before I spent a buttload on palettes all the time. This actually leads me to the next thing the Dollar Tree sells that I am going to need: brushes. So I ended up buying these Crafters Square brushes. In the past they haven't been the best quality. They can be very flimsy, they can break very easily, the bristles will fall out of them. And so yeah, to be quite honest with you, as far as like hurdles go for this challenge, working with the brushes is definitely gonna be the biggest hurdle to get over. So hopefully these work out in my favor. And this brings us to arguably the most important component of this painting: the paint. Now, Vermeer's original painting is made with oil paint. And unfortunately, my Dollar Tree doesn't sell oil paint, paint thinner, all the stuff needed for oil painting. So for this painting, I'm going to use acrylic paint. And guys, their acrylic was absolutely wiped out. Literally, the only 4 colors available were these ones right here, and I bought them all. And these are great colors. We got the primaries, but I'm missing the 2 key colors that I absolutely need for this painting: white and black. And at the Dollar General, I ended up picking up some brushes, which these ones look like they're a little bit better quality. I got more full-size bottles of acrylic paint, specifically this beige color, which I think is gonna work out. And I mean, I did get a bunch of other random stuff just in case, but I think I should be good. So yeah, with that being said, let's begin. Okay, so we have ran into the first major hurdle with this paint. With a lot of acrylics, they're mostly very opaque, like they cover up things very easily. Like for example, that Dollar Tree blue color, it was great, it was chef kiss. It layers very nicely, has a lot of pigment, it's only $1, love that. But for some reason, this beige color specifically is kind of the worst. It's so watered down that it's basically not layering whatsoever. It's making the painting process very difficult because I can't get the color on. So I have 2 options. The first one is to make a new skin tone out of the few paint bottles that I have, but I don't want to do that because I only have 1 small tube of white. And the second option, which I'm gonna go with, is layering the paint so thick
that everybody else in the room is so uncomfortable.
And that'll be the only way that I'll be able to get some kind of color out of this paint. And while the wet sections of her face are drying, I'm gonna go in and touch up her tunic. I'm not really too sure what her garment is called, but yeah, I'm gonna fix it up a little bit. So here's what it looks like color blocked. My plan worked. It's already looking so much better than before. Now I need to figure out how to blend it. And I'm gonna be honest here, my method of blending was just quickly morphing together two blobs of skin tone to kind of like melt into each other. And to make things just that much harder, I noticed the Dollar Tree brushes were kind of scratchy and it left a lot of texture in the painting. And when you look up close, it definitely shows. Okay, so I just got done refining the painting, and it might have been kind of hard to see what I was doing because I was basically doing just like micro swipes on the painting. And that's a technique you'll see a lot with classical painting. And this leads us to the final step, finishing up the painting. And this one's very simple. Clean up the background, add in more highlights, more colors, fix any mistakes that I might have made, feather out the skin tone a little bit more, and most importantly, create the pearl earring. And yeah, after days of hard work, planning, frustrations, here is my rendition of the girl with the pearl earring.
Tell me what it is, don't tell me what it ain't. They try to throw salt, it just made the pressure raise. Going through a phase, gotta get myself out it. Don't talk about it, boy, they said you gotta be about it. So I be trying to face the world head on. Front seat riding, cruising.
So it's currently 4 in the morning.
Entire shift, you're running around. People are.
If you're in a position right now where I was all those years ago, where you had to make do with what you had or completely start from square one, I just want to remind you to not give up and don't doubt yourself because you're gonna do great. I just know it. And more importantly, Bowie knows it. If you want to see more art challenge or broke art videos, I will leave my playlist down below. If you haven't subscribed with notifications, be sure to do that. Yeah, I hope this video inspired you. I hope you have a good day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.